Okay, in today's video, I'm actually going to install a Tortoise slow motion switch machine from start to finish. So I'm actually going to install two of them, but I'm only going to videotape one of them so you guys will get the idea from it. Several things we're going to need here, and I've got my Tortoise switch machines sitting right over here. I'm going to hook them up to a Digitrax DS64, so I'm going to control all of my turnouts with my throttle. And later on, I'll actually hook it up to my JMRI and run them through my computer. So I have my switch machines, I have everything I need to wire them up, to solder them up, and we're going to take care of that first, and then we'll go ahead and move into the installation section. Okay, let's go ahead and open up the box here and see what you get inside. So you'll have a little bag. It's going to have your tension support and a small screw, instruction manual, the actual switch machine, and then there is a little, well, unfortunately it doesn't look like they sent it, there's a little piece of music wire that comes with it. Let's see if there's one included in this box. Okay, this box, that's interesting. You can see that this is a pre-packaged, and there's no wire in it. This one has the wire in it. Regardless, and I'm going to jump ahead here just a little bit, I don't use the wire that comes with the Tortoise switch machines for a couple different reasons. What makes these operate and what makes them operate efficiently is when the motor moves, when the actuator moves, it puts tension on this wire, which will put pressure on the throw bar and makes the turnout move. What I've found is these are 0.025 diameter music wire, and it's pretty flimsy. So when you go to put some tension on it, it can actually, I was finding that you were getting more of a snap switch type motion. So what I was going to show you is, what I have is, I got this at Hobby Lobby. It's 0.039 diameter music wire. Just a little bit thicker, and it's going to provide you with a little bit more tension, and it's going to make the throw bar work a little bit better. So you can see I've already opened this. I'm down to my last wire. The other thing I like about this is it comes in a solid wire, and you can cut this easily with any type of wire cutters. You can get a package of 4 of these that are, probably 15-18 inches in length for literally 99 cents. So for me, this was money well spent. I'm not a big person on reading instructions. I would highly encourage you to, but I've already installed several of these, so I pretty much know what I'm doing. A couple things to pay attention to. Number one, it gives you the diagram on how to bend the metal bar that comes with it. And then on the back side, it actually gives you a drilling template for how to drill the holes and where to drill the holes. I just spent, this was maybe $2 or $3. I can't remember exactly how much it was, but it's a little plastic template. You can see it fits this template perfectly. I went ahead and splurged. This, working it off of a piece of paper is a little bit challenging because it's flimsy. But what you can do is you can make your own template if you want to out of some, balsa wood or something like that, or you can mount this on something a little bit more firm. Looking at the wiring diagrams here, I'm strictly at this point, I'm only using my switch machines to power the throw bar. I'm not using, I don't have powered frogs, I have insulated frogs. I don't have at this point any dwarf signals or anything, so I'm only going to worry about power position 1 and position 8. These are the two power feeds that are going to power the motor. These other, it's an internal double pole or single pulse internal switch, and you can use these to directionally power your frog if you don't have an insulated frog, or you can use it for dwarf lights. I'm going to set it up So I'm only going to worry about these two power outlets, and if I ever decide in the future, if I replace my switch machines, or I'm sorry, my turnouts, and get different turnouts, or decide to put dwarf lights up, it'll be very easy for me to wire those up. One of the biggest things that I found working with the Tortoise is you're supposed to solder the wires directly to the circuit board here. What I have found, this works really, really nicely, because when you solder wires to your Tortoise, obviously they're going to be there permanently unless you try to desolder them, and that's sort of a pain if you've ever attempted to do that. But what you can get, I got these off the internet. It's basically a power bar that just snaps right on the end of this. So I can just solder directly to this, and then I can connect it and disconnect it, which works great because I'll be able to wire this thing up, but I don't actually have to solder onto the circuit board here, and I can keep this. So if I ever dismantle this layout and decide to do something else, I can, unhook all of my switch machines and go from there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video. I don't think you need to watch me solder. So I'm going to solder 2 wires to these connections, and let's go ahead. Time for installation. Okay, I've gotten my wires soldered here, so you can see that I got a real nice solder on these. So that's taken care of. Next thing I need to do is I need to bend my wire, so I'm going to have that ready. So best thing to do is just grab your instruction sheet. Move some of this out of the way here, and just set it down on the piece of on your workbench there. Just take a pair of needle nose pliers, and the first thing I do is I put probably 3 or 4 millimeters of the wire into the pliers. I'm just going to bend it at a 90-degree angle. You can see it pretty much mimics that 90-degree angle right there. And then I go up, about just shy of an inch. I'm going to put just a little bit of a bend in it. The good news is, if you do end up and go out and buying some of this music wire at Hobby Lobby, you can practice on this particular wire, because you're just going to end up eventually pitching most of them anyway. The other thing you're going to notice is I actually didn't cut this yet. There's a reason behind that, because what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put it through the throw bar and get everything adjusted in place, and once I get it in place, I'm going to cut it. For me, it made installation of these a lot easier. So I got that ready. Next thing I need to do is we're going to get up on the layout and prepare it for the installation. Okay, this is the turnout here that I'm actually going to install the Tortoise on. So the first thing I can do, I've already got the track is tacked down, and probably one of the most challenging aspects of this is when I wired my layout up, I soldered wires to the rails, to the inner rails, and those are hooked up, they're soldered to the bus wire underneath the layout. So when I pull this up, I'm going to pull out a pretty good section of track so I don't bend anything, but I'm only going to be able to get this up and out just enough for me to be able to drill. So I'm going to loosen the nails, and then I'll show you the next step. Okay, I've got the turnout loose, so it's separated from its track. Next thing you have to do, because we have to mount it from underneath, but we need to have a pretty precise measurement of where the hole is in the throw bar. So what I've done, since I don't use the wire that comes with the turnout, so what I ended up doing is I cut about an inch piece. I'm going to use this as my template, so I'm just going to put this down. It's going to stay right in the cork road bed, and that's going to basically show me where I'm going to drill. So I've got that marked. I'm just going to carefully, since this is wired, just going to try to carefully get this up and out of the way so I can get it wired. So that'll be perfect. So I probably can't see it because the turnout's covering it, but I have my guide pin there. So I'm going to grab my drill and we're going to show you how to drill it. Okay, so you can still see I have my guide pin in there, so where I'm going to drill the hole. And if you read the instructions, you're going to need a 1/4 inch bit. So I'm just going to put my drill where I need it. I'm going to remove the pin. Got my hole drilled out. What I'm going to do now, I'm not going to show you this in the video, but I just have a little shop vac here. I'm going to vacuum this up. What you want to make sure is underneath the roadbed, you want to make sure that you get all of the debris out. So I do kind of lift the roadbed up a little bit and make sure to vacuum good and clean underneath there. Okay, I've got that cleaned out. Now what I'm going to do, I've learned this from experience. Just depends on you know, who you look at for installing these. But one of the things that I found is that sometimes the torque bar underneath actually gets bound up in the roadbed because the drill doesn't really drill through the roadbed real nice. So what I said, I just take my shop knife and I carefully basically just open this up just a little bit. I just make a nice little square here. When you do this, and when you reinstall your turnout, you won't be able to see this at all because it's underneath the throw bar. Okay, so there you can see I've got that all cleaned out and it's ready to go. That's all you have to do on the top side of your layout. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the turnout back into place, and then we're going to move the video underneath the layout for the continual installation. I'm going to do one quick thing before I do move underneath the layout. Before we move underneath there, just because there's not that much space, next thing I needed to do was add a 3 32nd inch bit, drill bit, because that's what I'm going to need for my template. And also, go to any big box home improvement store, your local hardware store, you're going to need 1/2 inch size number 4 wood screws. So you can see they're just really small, but these are designed to fit right in here. So when you screw it in, it gives it a nice, tight, snug fit. The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put in the screw that holds the drawbar or the tension rod in place. So I'll grab my shop knife here. You have to be very careful when you're doing this because you don't want to damage the motor. So you don't want to fight this or put too much pressure on your Tortoise. So I'm just going to put that on there. Let's have a real small screwdriver. And basically I just get this started. You don't want to tighten it because you're going to have to put that 90-degree bend underneath it. So when you go to install this, this will just fit nice and snug, and then we just tighten it up. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my tension bar on here, and this actually just slides down from the bottom. If I can get it lined up. So then you can use this to adjust the tension in your wire. Okay, now it's time to go under the layout. Okay, I moved underneath the layout here. And you can see right here, here's the hole that we dug out, or drilled out from the top side. And then what I'm going to do is I have my Tortoise template, and I just put a piece of painter's tape on the back of it here. So I'm going to line it up so the large diameter hole lines up with the 3/4 inch hole that we drilled, or 3/8, I'm sorry. And then what you want to do is you just want to double make sure that this is basically parallel to the track. So I know my track runs parallel to the edge of my layout, so I'm just sort of eyeballing it here, and that looks pretty close. So I'm going to use just a little Sharpie, and I'm going to put 4 dots where I'm going to drill my holes. And these are just starter holes for your number 4 screws. Okay. Just because I have such a tight, cramped space underneath here, I'm going to drill the holes out, because I have to move the video camera to get the drill up in there. Okay, I have my pilot holes drilled. So then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put 2 screws in, and I'm going to start them, because it's going to help keep the tortoise in place. So again, you don't want to tighten this all the way up. You're going to want to leave yourself at least probably a good 1/8 of an inch gap so you can put the tortoise in place. So there's one. And there is 2. Now we are ready for the tortoise. So how you're going to install this is you want this part towards the front, because the hole that we drilled through the layout, this is where the bar is going to go. So basically, I'm just going to sort of put this up in here. Yeah, it is a very snug fit. I have a lot going on underneath here. So it's easier if you have those 2 screws started, because now you can just tighten them down. That's going to at least hold it in place until you can get the other 2 screws in. Okay, sorry, I had to turn the camera off. I needed to move it to get these last 2 screws in. So this, you can see, it's securely fastened into its position. Now, the next thing we have to do is we have to put the tension bar through the throw bar on the turnout. Before I get out from underneath the layout here, I do want to show you. I have my DS64 all hooked up, and I'm sorry about the motion on the video here. So I just had another video where I showed people how to program this so it's ready to run the Tortoise switch machines. And then what I did is I ran the wires that I'm going to use to hook up the Tortoise, and then I just have them hooked on to these electrical clips that you can get at Radio Shack or any hobby store. So let's move back up to the front of the layout. Okay, I'm back up to the top of the layout, and basically I have my wire that I bent, and I'm just going to carefully put that through the throw bar. And then what I'm going to do, since I'm only one person here, if I let this go, it's going to fall all the way to the bottom underneath the layout. So what I have is just an alligator clip that I clip on here, and basically that just holds the wire in place. If you have a helper, that's great. Just have your helper hold the wire in place. But now I'm ready to go underneath and hook up this bar. Okay, I'm not sure how much I'm going to be able to do here because the camera literally is right in my way. But what I need to do is I need to get that wire through this tension bar. So I'm just going to carefully slide this off, which I probably shouldn't have put it on in the first place. And then I'm just going to snake this through. get this connected back up here. Okay, perfect. I just want to make sure that my bar doesn't go anywhere. I'm actually going to already, you can see it has some tension on it already. It's not latched yet. What I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to get a very small screwdriver. The screwdriver I brought with me is too big to fit into that slot. So I'm going to go get my screwdriver and I'll be right back. Okay, sorry, it proved to be way too complicated to hook this up with the camera in place, but you can see basically I just used a little screwdriver, got this tension bar in place. So the last thing we have to do is we have to go ahead and get this sucker hooked up to power. Here's my connector that I soldered earlier. Really easy. I'm just gonna hook this on here like so. So that just slides right on there. And I'm just gonna take those two ends and I am going to hook them up to my electrical connection. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. Okay, moving back up here to the top of the layout, you can see that I still have my wire sticking out here, but you can see this has some really good tension on it. And that's how this works, is you have to have the tension, and when the Tortoise moves, the tension in the bar or the tension in the rod throws the bar, and it allows us to work. So since we hooked this up to our DS64, and I have my throttle here, and basically what you do is you're going to want to hit the switch button, and then you're going to select the address for the switch. So this particular one, I have it hooked up to switch number 4. And you can see right now it has a closed command, and the turnout is closed. So at the very bottom, to change that, if we hit throw, hit the T, you can see that works. So now it's thrown. Let's give it a closed command. A little bit different angle here. So we'll give it, again, we'll give it a, sorry, let it focus here. Give it a throw command. Give it a close command. There you have it. Tortoise slow motion switch machine. The last thing I'm going to do, and I'm going to do this with the camera off because this bar tends to go flying. I just basically have a pair of wire cutters, and I'm going to get this as close to the throw bar as possible, snip that off. Like I said, I'm going to turn the camera off. I don't want it to get damaged because sometimes this flies away. Definitely want to have eye protection when you do this. And if you have too much sticking up over the top here, I just have a little Dremel tool. Sometimes I can get it really close, other times I have to take the grinding tool on my Dremel and just polish that down a little bit so your couplers don't get caught up on it. That's it. If you have any questions, just put them in the message and I will be sure to reply. Thank you very much. Happy railroading.